broke out of jail, he run to North Dakota and didn't come back for years. He set fire to his cell. And when they come opened up, he took off and zoom, went up to the Dakotas and stayed there for years. He was a character. He used to say the reason he lost his eye was looking for work.
I wish we had a picture of him.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody has one. But he was such a character.
Well, did you know his grandmother? It was
No.
Grandma Dunn, I think was her name.
No, I
No?
didn't. I
'Cause
knew,
he's-
I knew him. Ever since I can remember, he's been around, you know. But he's one heck of a pool player. Boy, that one eye, he could see good with it. But he wouldn't work.
He's buried out at Prospect Hill. Yeah.
He was, well, he's kind of a legend. He was down here along the highway. There used to be a shop back in there about where they have the storage facilities now. There used to be a shop area in that little indentation.
What kind of a shop? Like
Oh,
a,
I think it was a body shop or some kind of a machinery or cars and stuff. And he was staying in there. The place didn't make it in business when it blew up. They just knew he was dead, but he wasn't. He was in there. But he lived in different places, wherever he could find to live. That's where he lived. As long as it was free, he didn't care. So, and drank constantly. He always had money for booze, seemed like. He could tell some stories. I mean, he'd make you laugh. But he was just one of those characters that you never forget.
mm-hmm.
You know, and
Do you remember him ever telling about how he got here to town in the first place?
probably did, don't remember.
Know any dog stealing stories?
No, but I know that if you had a dog get sick from poison, that was the man you wanted to call, because if it could be saved, he'd save it. Because I know when our dog got poisoned that one time, one of Dad's bird dogs, we thought it was poisoning, but it wound up it wasn't. They'd give the dog crushed glass, and there was nothing they could do. And I can't think of that guy's name, but I think people finally run him out of town. He was, I can't remember his name. I was just a kid when that happened. But I can still remember it. That big bird dog, he was a pet. And this guy, he fed him ground glass. And nobody could ever prove it, but everybody knew that he did it.
Mm.
He lived in the neighborhood up there somewhere. Okay, see, where was we then?
We were
Eagle Eye
gas
Bar.
station. Yeah, the gas station was a gas station was something else too. You said
It was a little cafe.
Okay,
People tried
cafe,
to
yeah.
run in there, which it
Yeah.
didn't make it either.
Yeah.
They were originally from Irving. Of course, then the post office, and upstairs above the post office, that used to be the Masonic Hall years ago. Then a vacant lot there, and then of course the bank on the corner, and upstairs was dentist.
Do you remember his name? Was that where we thought maybe Kramer was, or we were wondering? Somebody said
Yeah,
it was
that's
Kramer. No.
There's two dentists, McCormick and Kramer.
And
The one used to be well over where the ice cream parlor, but one of the dentists, that used to be a dentist shop in there.
okay.
But now it's, Kramer, didn't he live up on the Chestnut somewhere?
That I
Or
don't
was
know.
that
Well, we don't
McCormick?
know.
Chestnut McCormick, yeah.
McCormick.
Yeah,
All right,
McCormick
it was
lived up that
McCormick was above the bank, and it was Kramer that was over at the other one, I believe.
Oh, okay.
The only two dentists been in there up is that I remember, McCormick and Kramer.
Kramer.
Kramer was a little bitty old guy. McCormick lived up on Chestnut. I'm not sure which house it was in anymore.
Or Lincoln. I don't know.
Okay, then next to the bank, there's a shoe repair shop and a barber shop. Thrum, I believe, had the shoe shop. I think he moved to Marysville.
Rosie?
Huh?
Rosie
No.
Thrum?
Then it'll be Rosie's uncle or something. May have been. And there's Thrum has the shoe shop in Marysville, the leather store. And I think it had this one here before he went to Marysville. And I'm trying to think of the barber's name. It wasn't Cletus, he's the other one. He'd been here for years. It was before Cletus' time too.
Was that where land was?
Skinny Land,
Uh-huh.
he was down,
Further south?
yeah, further
Yeah,
south.
okay.
Because they lived upstairs. The shop was downstairs. And that's the Crab's old studio was in there, had the big windows on it.
Crab?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
No, that's, okay, you're too far. Okay, you've skipped some here, right?
Yeah.
Back to the
next
shoot
to
the
the shop.
cobbler and the
Yeah,
barber shop.
Cobbler and the barber shop. Then next to that would have been Hill's furniture store. And then,
Undertaking.
yeah, but his undertaking place was up at his house.
Mm.
And upstairs was just an open stuff. Wasn't used for anything. Finally, the Rebecca's bought the building, and it was Rebecca's and Oddfellow's meeting hall. Then next to that was Seymour's Cafe. Now that'd be the wife of the man that had the pool hall.
Mm.
And she lived upstairs, and it was both a restaurant and a beer joint. It's where where us kids used to hang out on Saturday nights and during the winter when we'd pull our bobsleds around the square. We could go in there and get warm, and we could get hot chocolate and stuff. And then they had a jukebox, and there wasn't a bunch of people sitting around drinking. There'd be a few in having a beer. The bar was pretty small. The beer was there more for convenience, and but there's mostly food, and the place socialized. But it wasn't like a pool hall, drunken brawls and stuff. And she was there. She was kind of a little woman, and she catered to us kids. Because that's about the only place we had to go, you know.
Mm-hmm. What was her daughter's name? Did she marry a hula?
No,
No.
I don't think so. But her daughter lived with her dad in the apartment above the pool hall.
Okay.
Yeah. She preferred to be with her dad, and I cannot remember her name anymore. She was much older than I am.
Okay.
So
That's okay.
she was, she'd be 6, 7, maybe more years older than me.
So then down the alley to Dr. Schumann's office.
Dr. Schumann, his house and his office, yeah.
Got any Doc Schumann stories?
Not too many that I can remember. He was a little bitty. He always had white hair, even when I was a kid, as far as I don't remember. And it seemed like he lived forever. I doctored with him some when I was younger. After Dr. Wilmoth, when he finally retired, we had to go to him because that, and Dr. Ritchie, he'd already left. And then
on that corner on the square was where where Skinny Land's barber shop was.
yeah, that's the old studio, and they had the apartment upstairs, and then that's where they lived. And I think
And this was a photo studio?
well, it was. I don't remember what Jim's dad did for a living, but he had his studio. I don't know whether it'd been a photo studio. He had his studio and his kind of shop thing in there, and it had that big window and stuff.
Jim who?
Jim Crabb. Lived up on Lincoln Street between 9th and 10th. Big house in the middle of the block on the west side. I forget who lives there now. I remember when Jim's dad died, I think he got bit with a black widow spider, they claimed.
Huh?
And that helped bring on his death. But I could hear Jim screaming and hollering when his dad died, because he's just a block away from us.
Oh.
And he's my cousin. I haven't seen him in years. He comes back here once in a while. Jim would probably be about 78. He's a couple years older than I am. So.
Hmm.
Let's
And then
see.
up above was the Lands? No, who lived up above in the apartments?
Well, when it was the barber shop,
Yeah.
Lands lived
Skinny,
up there.
okay.
Skinny
Did
lived up
Cletus
there.
go into that later then? Did he have, it seemed like he was in a barber shop up here at one time too, Cletus, before he was over there.
Cletus had the barber shop.
After Skinny's?
After,
Yeah.
after Skinny.
Cause somebody was
Cletus,
asking.
Fortier, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But you don't know what was upstairs when the studio was downstairs.
No, I don't remember whether it was.
Crabs had the studio.
I would imagine it was probably an apartment up there, but I don't know that to be a fact. Because I don't remember if anybody living up there besides, well, actually, Skinny Land is the only ones I remember living up there.
Mhm.
Across the street, in that building, it used to be on the corner, it used to be a cafe and stuff, and there used to be a apartment up above that, and I think, mother and her two sons lived up there. I went to school with them, the one. I'll think of their name pretty soon.
And that building's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right next to where the Cletus had his barber shop, where the trailer factory's in there used to be people lived in there was kind of a house or apartment thing there, and people lived in there. And I remember their names too. They were around here for years and not here anymore. But they lived in there,
It was kind of a two-story flat-fronted thing.
yeah. And I think that was all that was on that block, on that side of the street.
That would be your Rand Street. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
And Smythe is where, or Smith, however, Smyth would have been the one in front of Doc Schumann's.
The street,
The street,
Smythe.
Yeah, there's your Rand. Yeah.
So then we come to probably the Blue Rapids Times building.
Okay, that's where the 7 Hours Club is there. Yeah, that's the Times. But in that building that was next to it, that had been a a cafe in there also. And what had been before that, I don't know.
The one that's gone, the building
Yeah.
that's gone, yeah.
And then the Times office, and when I was a kid, I worked in there. And then next door was the jewelry store, and that's where my dad had his TV shop as well.
Oh.
And then next door to that,
A. Marvin's jewelry store.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
the jewelry store.
Uh, but he shared the space with your dad and,
No,
No.
this was after the jewelry store was
oh,
closed.
okay.
And Bob Ronick had his optometry shop in there also. And then when they closed up, then Dad leased the building when he had his TV shop and stuff.
Would he do repair TVs
Yeah.
and did he sell some? Did
Yeah,
he sell
he sold a few. That was he went to school for that after he when the mine caved in on him.
Oh,
Yeah. Let's see, and then there was an office in there. I think that made, I don't know whether that was Hod Latham's office or Van.
Falkenberg.
for some reason I'm thinking that Marge Borick told us that she was, worked in that, one of those offices up there for a gas company or for G-Van, or was it Katopish Gas or G-Van or
G-Van, maybe.
maybe?
G-Van.
Does that ring a bell? No? She would have been a lot older than you.
I don't think Katopish had his office.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. He had the 66.
Then he had the bulk tank out
Yeah.
south, didn't he?
Yeah, well, Jenkins had the one set, that was
Okay.
Texaco, and then Katopish was 66.
Okay.
Now, I don't remember where his office was, because Jenkins had his office at his house.
Okay. So there was a small office there, and then
Yeah.
next to that would have been,
There was a beauty shop in there also. And then the hotel.
Have any stories about the hotel? Who lived there, or what kind of place it was?
It was just a nice place. It was clean, just the 2 stories. The upstairs room, there was, I don't remember a business being in the bottom front because it had a storefront there. And I don't remember what was in there, unless that was part of her living quarters. She lived on the first floor. And I can't remember her name. I can picture in my mind, she had a sister and the 2 of them were together quite a bit. And it seems to me like that was Arthur Bryce's wife's sister-in-law that had that. Now Arthur Bryce, he was a World War I veteran, wounded, that my great-grandparents, the Badgers, sponsored him and brought him from England over here, and he lived with them. Okay, let's go south from the hotel. That was a garage, it was the hatchery, it's been a feed store, and mechanic shop, and trailer factory.
And a bar.
Huh?
And a bar.
rock
It was a
quarry
dance hall.
or dance hall.
Dance hall.
Yeah, it
Okay.
became a dance hall
Uh-huh.
in later years. Didn't last long because a lot of trouble. Then across the street south of there was the lumberyard. And the last people on that was Weeks, and he's the one that closed it up. And then there was a house been gone, I don't remember it.
Where the Fish and Game is?
Well, the fishing game, it was in that area. That used to be, that was Gaiman Brooks's blacksmith shop. That's what originally began. He built that one before he moved away. And then go back across the street and come back to the north. There's, the building is still there. That's the original blacksmith shop, the Gaiman's. And then next door was Sutton's repair shop, which was an automobile repair. And then across the street, that was a gas station where the sign shop was. It belongs to Stuart Lamro now. I now own it.
Was that the co-op?
Yeah, well, the
gas
co-op had it
station?
for a while. Before that, it was something else.
Okay.
Back in World War II. It's been a gas station. Then next door to that, that was a body shop, and I don't know what all's been in there. It's where the trailer factories offices are now.
Osborne's was in there maybe at one time?
Osborne had it, yeah, and Osborne built the building back here. They put his new shop in, that's where he had the body shop and the front end shop. Then next to that would be, the building there was, in the stone portion of it there, on the south side of it, there used to be an old man that had a plumbing shop in there. And then of course, when Vic Stanley put the store in, he opened that all up. And there's a door between Vic's, that building and this building, they're joined. They put a door in when this was Gamble's, Diedrich's had it then, so they could go back and forth without having to go outside and go around. And then also where that plumbing shop would be, right out on the parking, there was one or two gas pumps at one time, years and years ago. And then back up, and we're back on the corner.
You don't remember when the switchboard was upstairs next door?
No, I remember it
What-
being over here.
Okay.
It was probably up there before my time.
Mm-mm. Yeah, when it first came to
Did
town.
you say that the bank building had a restaurant in it at one time?
Yes, and I'm trying,
I've
I
heard
went
that.
to school with this person. I think his first name was Jim. The Swiggerts that had the cafe
Swiggert's,
up
okay.
here, it may have been. Because the Swiggerts had a cafe. So,
Yeah, okay.
And that would have been before the chiropractor was in there, because they lived
Yeah.
upstairs and he had his office downstairs, so.
this would have been, I was pretty young when they was in there. And I don't think it lasted too long either, if I remember correctly.
So we came full circle around here.
Yeah, here we are, home again, home again.
Do you remember much inside the square, the Fountain Park?
Well, I remember when it was a bandstand, before they closed it in, made the city office and the police department out of it. And I remember when the old Gatling gun was there, but we gave that away and to the scrap drive. And they would have replaced it with a newer one, but the city didn't want it, so.
So which little quarter was it located
It
in?
was on the north, where the big piece of gypsum is.
On that, right
Yeah.
there, okay.
There
okay.
used to be some cannonballs sitting in, and there was an old Gatling gun that was in there.
And would that have been from World War I?
Probably, or just before World War I, but it probably World War I vintage. And then our fountain was stone, and the drinking fountain was probably about where it is now, but it was stone also. And they had a statue that sat in the center of it. Somebody stole it, that they'd store it away in the winter in the statue, and the water came up through it. And then we had lily pads all around inside of it, and goldfish. And we used to keep the goldfish out at Dolan's, north of town. In the wintertime, they'd put them in that big tank out there. And You know, they'd live out there, and of course they'd feed them and stuff out there. And then when they decided to tear that fountain out, which was a landmark